But I think one way to fight corruption is to adopt paperless government so that the county askaris can use technology to collect revenue, and therefore we reduce incidences of corruption. Madam Speaker, billions of shillings has been lost in devolution, as clearly captured by these reports. That those billions should be going to build, to support Boda Boda guys. We train them for free using those billions. Those billions, Madam Speaker, should be expended to provide inputs for our farmers, Madam Speaker. I come from Murang'a County, where we are one of the largest growers of avocado. We need inputs. We are coffee farmers. We are tea farmers. The billions which we are capturing in this report as have been lost should be used to support our coffee farmers, our tea farmers. Madam Speaker, the milk price, the producer milk price currently in Murang'a is about 30 shillings per liter. I have no doubt if we curb corruption in our county and in all other counties, the producer price of milk will be about 60 shillings per liter. It is possible, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, if, for instance, that factory that was mooted by Murang'a County government in Murang'a for processing milk, if it was operating efficiently, I have no doubt the Murang'a common person would be getting better value for his investment, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, these billions which we are capturing as having lost, if we curb corruption, the poor children who go to county institutions, in particular primary pupils, the 3, 4, 5 years old, who go to our nurseries, to our kindergartens, which are maintained and supported by the county governments, they will be eating free food. We would have boosted school enrollment because of that, Madam Speaker. But we are it not. Few governors, few county officials enriching themselves, as captured by this report. We now have poor children who cannot go to school, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, when I see street children in Nairobi, when I see children who cannot get a meal a day, I realize there's a clear correlation between they are non-attendant to school and governors who are stealing billions of shillings and keeping the poor man down. Madam Speaker, as a Senate, we must rise and fight for well-run counties, Madam Speaker. This is one of our most important tools, Madam Speaker, which we are using, coming up with a report, which I am urging my colleagues to adopt, which I am urging DCC to take action, which I am urging EACC to take action, so that we ensure these people who have eaten billions of shillings from our counties are taken to court and they are jailed, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it pains me when I see children who don't go to school because their money has been stolen by some governors, Madam Speaker. When I see that money is now being used for political purposes, is now being used to lure our citizens for politics, Madam Speaker, it pains me, Madam Speaker. I think for Kenya to reach a first world country, I know it is possible within a generation. Singapore was able to move from being a third world to a first world within a generation, Madam Speaker. China in 1978 was a very poor country, but now it is now the second largest economy in the world. In 1980, when I was being born, China was a very, very poor country. Last year, they achieved a milestone of wiping absolute poverty out of China, a country of 1.4 billion shillings. Why? Because if you steal a single shilling in China, they take you to face the gallows. You face the death penalty. I know that is possible. Because, Madam Speaker, as leaders, we have a moral duty, not only to lead and ensure we don't loot public coffers, but also to inspire. When people see leaders are getting ahead through corruption, definitely they're also going to become corrupt, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this vice of corruption must be fought, in particular by this honorable house called the Senate, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I am happy with the drafters of the Constitution of 2010. They ensured that senators don't have, they are not interlinked with the executive. We became very independent. Unlike the National Assembly, which has CDF, as we don't have funds, as a result, we have the leverage, the independence to conduct oversight without fear or favor, Madam Speaker. It is now time for us to ensure this report is implemented. It is now time we urge the executive, the various independent offices, they implement these reports so that we have more and more county executives who go and face the court and they face the law. Madam Speaker, there are several roads which are under county which are not made. There are several boreholes which now would have been sunk were it not for this corruption. Madam Speaker, there are several nursery schools which would have been built were it not for this corruption. There are several health centers which would have been built, Madam Speaker. But now because of this corruption, they cannot be built. I am aware, nurses, our doctors, our clinical officers, most of them are employees of the county government, Madam Speaker. They are now crying for underpayment, Madam Speaker. They are now crying that their working conditions under the counties is not proper. But the problems, I have no doubt, have arisen because of corruption. And it is now time for us as a Senate to rise up and say no by adopting this report and ensuring we curb corruption in our counties. I support, I congratulate Professor, and I also congratulate my colleagues who sat in that committee. We fought and ensured this report was made, and it's a very, very, very coherent and logical report. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Musuruve.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to support this motion. And I want to commend the works of the CPAC committee. They indeed did a very good job, bringing governors on board to come and actually address audit queries. And Honorable Speaker, as a Senate, we disburse monies to go to the counties. And the aim of doing that is for the purpose of ensuring that the money reaches the common man, that the money is used for service delivery, so that wananchi are able to really get a service. And that is why Kenya is devolved into the 47 counties, so that money reaches the common man. Honorable Speaker, when we look at the Constitution, we have socioeconomic needs that must reach everyone. And when you're talking about these socioeconomic needs, they involve children, they involve families, they involve everyone in this republic. So it is just in good breath that there's an audit query, so that we see that the money that goes to the counties, does the money corroborate what is actually in the county? Does it corroborate the development that is in the county? That is the essence of an audit query. And Honorable Speaker, county executives should know that when there's an audit query, no one is really being targeted, but it is just for the purpose of ensuring that there's credibility, a credibility bill for county executives, that indeed they're doing a good job. So governors, when they are brought on board to answer questions, they should be well-meaning, and they should come, with one heart to really explain how the monies were used. Honorable Speaker, every year, county governments come out with a budget. In fact, every year money is disbursed to counties. And then counties also come up with a financial budget. So there's need to actually see this budget, this money that was sent, and the budget that the counties came up with, was the money used wisely? That is just the only essence. And Honorable Speaker, I want to say that auditing is very important because a clean audit report shows that county executives are actually doing well because they've been elected by wananchi for the purpose of ensuring that wananchi are getting a service. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to say that even the audit, the audit report will show, the statement, the financial statement of the counties. If there are any contractors that were paid, it will come out clearly. And Honorable Speaker, even this report goes further to find out if a contractor was paid, for instance, to make a certain road. Was this contractor paid upfront? And if the contractor was paid upfront, was the service delivered? Was the road actually completed? Because, Honorable Speaker, sometimes even when reports are coming to the floor of this House, you'll find that there are some pending bills. You'll find also there's some projects that were done, but they are not complete. But, Honorable Speaker, when it comes to audit reports, it will make also county executives to know that there is someone who is watching to ensure that the service delivery is done to wananchi. So I want to say, Honorable Speaker, that it is important also, for the audited reports to be done by someone very impartial. And when someone impartial does the audit reports, he has nothing to gain. He just wants to see that the report is credible, that wananchi are getting a service, and that is our business as a Senate. We are here to represent counties and the interests of the counties. We are here to represent wananchi. We are here to see that there's service delivery, that we have hospitals in the counties, we have water in the counties, we have schools in the counties, Honorable Speaker, because as you're speaking right now, there are some counties that do not have ECD classes, Honorable Speaker. And in the report, in the financial report, if there's information showing that a certain amount of money was allocated for ECD classrooms, then there's need to even query, then how come there are no ECD classrooms? How come there's no water? How come there are no health facilities? How come even people are dying on the streets, even people are even giving birth in hospitals, Honorable Speaker? These are issues that we must interrogate. And when we interrogate these issues, as a Senate, we'll be doing well. So I want to say, Honorable Speaker, that this report that has been given by Senator Kajwang that was presented here is actually commendable. And they should continue auditing so that county executives come here and we see that they're actually doing their work. It is unfortunate that county executives can be summoned to the Senate and fail to come. It is actually a very unfortunate situation because when they're summoned by the Senate, the same Senate that disburses money, it is their honors to come to the Senate and ensure that they're telling the Senate, yes, this is the amount of money that we are given, and as a county, this is how we utilize the money, and as a county, we have pending bills. There's nothing wrong in being frank. There's nothing wrong in being honest. In fact, you become more credible when you're honest and you come to the Senate and say, yes, I was given this amount of money, for my county, but the money was not enough. This is what I did, this is what I did, and all that, and these are the pending bills. And Honorable Speaker, even as you talk about the audit reports, before counties begin using their monies, even before counties are given money, they should talk about the pending bills. And they should not even be given, counties executives should not be given money if they have actually not cleared pending bills. And even if there are projects that they were supposed to do in a financial year and they have not done, they should be able to explain to the Senate. They should be able to explain to us why the projects have not been done. And that is the purpose of audit, ensuring that there's transparency, ensuring that there's accountability, ensuring that there's a service to wananchi. And that is our core business here as a Senate. We do not have a greater business in the Senate other than defending the counties and the interests of the counties. And I want to say, Honorable Speaker, that audit reports are mandatory and they should be done yearly. And even before doing yearly, even in 6 months, quarterly, the CIPA committee can just visit counties, in fact, impromptu, just to see what are they doing. 6 months are over. What have they done with the money that were given? What are the indicators of development? Honorable Speaker, I want to say that the CIPA committee should go a notch higher and ensure that they're actually seeing the visible projects that are being done in the counties. Because sometimes the projects that are done on paperwork. When you go to the county, sometimes you find that the projects are not there, Honorable Speaker. So there's need to ensure that they just do impromptu visits and ensure that we are giving a service to Kenyans. We are delivering a service as the Senate because we are mandated constitutionally to do that, Honorable Speaker. And especially when it comes to completion of projects, Honorable Speaker, there is need for the CPAC committee to bring county executives to answer why they are pending bills, to answer also why they are pending projects. Honorable Speaker, I know of a hospital somewhere that was started long time ago. It has never been completed. In the last financial, in the last parliament, it is still going on. Honorable Speaker, money is allocated to counties, and the money should be disaggregated so that the money goes to different projects, specific projects, so that even when the CPAC committee, even when the county executives come before the CPAC committee, they should be able to say, this money was brought for education. And in education, what we have done in the counties, we've allocated a certain figure for early childhood. We have allocated a certain figure for the children with disabilities. We have allocated a certain figure even for health. And even after doing that, county executives should be able, in fact, they should be really frank to tell CPAC that we are ready for you to come and visit the project that we've done so that you see that we are actually working, Honorable Speaker. So I want to say, Honorable Speaker, this report by CPAC should continue annually, and not only annually, it should even midway through the year, there is need to actually, for CPAC committee to go and see what is happening. And apart from CPAC committee, Honorable Speaker, as a Senate, we need to oversight the projects that are there, because CPAC alone is not enough. Remember, Honorable Speaker, we want to give a service to Kenyans, and giving a service to Kenyans, we have to go and confirm in the counties that Kenyans are getting a service delivery. And there's need for the Senate to even oversight what is happening in the counties. Honorable Speaker, it is the honors of this House to do exactly that, to oversight what is happening. The only challenge we have, Honorable Speaker, is that when it comes to oversight, it becomes very difficult because of money issues. If we had money to oversight what is exactly happening in the counties, it will be very easy even for senators to go in the specific counties and really oversight what is happening, Honorable Speaker. And I want to believe that in due course, the oversight money will come, that is my prayer, so that the Senate can actually go out there and work on wananchi. We have a mandate, we have a duty to ensure that service reaches Wanjiko. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support this report.
Thank you, Senator Musurube. Senator Matita Naomi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support the motion on adoption of the report on the county public, on the report on the county public accounts and investment. Madam Speaker, the report, I support the report, and I want to say that indeed, if you look at the report, what we normally talk here, what the country experience when it comes to corruption has been ably reflected here. Madam Speaker, I want to say that my colleagues have contributed, and I want to support the recommendations, because if you look at recommendation number 23 on the unsupported expenditure, that is scholarship and other education benefits, I want to say that looking at this, there is lack of framework in the counties. And counties, since they are in transition, and this is their 7th or 8th year, indeed, there is a lot that cannot be admired. There was therefore need for education officer or the CEC finance to ensure that bursaries or any grants that have been allocated to a specific counties, because I think we have specific partners that partner with specific counties to make sure that they have looked into the issues of education. Hence, you get that some CECs collude with some governors or other staffs when it comes to scholarships and grants, and they maybe probably come up with double funding those projects, or they literally cheat and take over the money that is supposed to educate or support in terms of scholarship or education benefits. Madam Speaker, we have also seen the series, as explained in the report, series of county offices being banned. You find that just one block is banned, and that is the block that contains the account documents, whereas the whole county or the whole building is standing. That means that there's something fishy that goes around when somebody wants to evade maybe the naked truth about the audit of those accounts. It is very important that people respect what they have, respect or account for what they have utilized, other than just coming up with the event that they have lost or they have swallowed money or they have consumed money that is not theirs and is meant for other benefit in the county, and then they decide to ban the offices that contain this document. It is even illegal to ban documents just to evade accountability of the document. It is bad, and it is supposed such a persons need to, if at all they are banning this document, we need to have a backup. We need to have a framework where we shall have a backup, and if that office or if that those particular documents are banned, then backup can reveal what has taken place, other than just leaving that to unanswered questions that the county can evade using those corrupt or unlawful means. Madam Speaker, we have seen bending bills. Bending bills is what is really bringing us down. It is not necessary for governors it is very unusual for governors to engage themselves into unnecessary bending bills in their counties. They are supposed to see and match the expenditure versus their demands, so that their demands and the expenditure versus their supply or their funding, instead of just probably going overboard with the expenditure, and they leave a lot of bending bills, and hence when we have probably they are out of this office, it is very hard for a governor to account, or it's very, very hard for a governor to manipulate, to make sure that these bending bills are paid. They leave a lot of junk of bills or bending bills to other governors who take up when their period is over, or they leave unanswered questions, and yet they are out of the office. Madam Speaker, again I want to speak about the bookkeeping. It is very important about on the county government. If you go back to the county, we have seen even in the reports, we have seen us discussing here issues to do with bookkeeping. Registers that keep this record, that people are supposed to refer to, expenditures, activities, and money allocated, they are not well kept. And you can see from the report whereby the audit is very difficult to be done when we do not have proper reference of documentation. So we argue that this is an era whereby we have e-learning, we have documents are kept into soft copies, and any good or able governor can really have able accounts people who can keep this document into soft copies vis-a-vis hard copies. Hence, they can organize and reorganize these registers. We have seen Lands office when we had Governor Ngilu in the Ministry of Lands. She came up with a system whereby she decided to reorganize all the records keeping, and everything was working systematically. You go click and get records. It is important for the governors to employ able people, to employ learned people, to employ learned people, to employ people who have relevant skills in record keeping. Hence, they will get the best out of that, other than giving the audit, giving our committee hard work by them going around and around, not able to reply or answer some of these questions. And Madam Speaker, just to conclude, it is that if you look at the failures of better governance, that the better governance and management that has been exposed by governors, it is important that we get the right people in the office. This issue of us just electing people just because we are going with the majority or we are going by parties, it is good for us as citizens of Kenya to get able governors, to get good qualified people in these offices who can run, not just persons because they are going with the regime or they are going with what. Let us get the right people who can do proper governance, who can do proper management, and avoid what has been exposed in this report. People like Sakaja here, they are now senators, they have experience. If somebody like Sakaja, I'm not saying that Sakaja goes for Senator Sakaja goes for governor. I'm not saying that. But if he goes for that, if he goes for governor, he is qualified enough. Some governors just come from the bush. They stand because they have money. They buy a few people. They vote for them. When they go in the office, they start blaming the world that I was forced to sign. I was forced to do this. It is very improper for you to blame people on your own mistakes. And I urge people who have no experience, people should avoid electing such a people. People who have no insight of what the office they are going to hold. The government of Kenya plus the citizens of Kenya should avoid such a people and not be bought at a cheaper price, because they are costing highly their counties, their investment, and we are losing a lot through these ignorant people. And I'm not saying that the governors that we have are ignorant, but we have a few who do not even know the management and why they are in those offices. Madam Speaker, I support this report, and I say it is very important for us Kenyans. Come the other years, let us get even more governors from this Senate, because we do oversight and we know what we can do outside there. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
That's good, Senator Shionga. Finally, Senator Sakaja Johnson Arthur.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, I'm trying to access the report which I've read before, but there seems to be a problem with the system. But generally, I agree with the report of the County Public Accounts and Investment Committee. And maybe you can direct that someone assists me to just put it on my iPad. Madam Speaker, I want to commend the committee. The committee has gone out of its way to try and catch up with all these years of the reports from the executive. That, Madam Speaker, is extremely commendable. And Madam Speaker, if you look at the counties they've looked at, from Baringo, Elgeyo Marakwet, Homa Bay, Kakamega, Kiambu, Kisii, Mandera, Mombasa, Taita Taveta, Kilifi, Garissa, Wajir, Narok, Kericho, and Lamu, it is not an easy job to be done. So allow me to commend the chairman, Senator Ongeri. I think he's the former chairman, because the committee needs to be reconstituted. We hope you come back, because you have shown extraordinary energy and passion and zeal to deal with these matters. And I hear from your members that indeed you've been able to even spur some of them who are much younger than you, your grandchildren, to actually step up and pull up the socks. And that is extremely commendable. Madam Speaker, if you look at those financial years, 15, 16, 16, 17, 17, and 18, these are formative years of devolution. It's a time when a lot of systems were still being put in place. If you remember the fiduciary risk report that was done by the same Public Accounts Committee, we're able to see some areas of concern that we should be aware of. And those areas are not just even on accountability, but on budget implementation. If you look at matters of absorption, matters of just budget implementation based on what has been passed by the assemblies, and then the risks in the systems, the accounts that counties are operating, many had multiple commercial bank accounts. Many of them had issues with project accounts. And I hope that in the last report, you will see a trend of some form of improvement, Madam Speaker, from when we started. Madam Speaker, devolution is really the biggest gift that we have in our country, that we've given to our counties, that we've bequeathed to our people. It's the biggest gift in our constitution, and I'm glad that it is even being strengthened more through the Building Bridges initiative, that we'll have a stronger devolution based on proper allocation of resources at 35%, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, that is why many of us fought when there was BBI 2. I think it was BBI, the second document, which proposed at that point to do away with Nairobi County. And Madam Speaker, I put up a spirited fight because we felt that why would 10% of the population of this country be then denied the greatest gift that comes, Madam Speaker, to Kenyans. That lady in Mutuini, that young man in Mathare, that citizen of Kenya in Soweto and in Pipeline has the same right to that gift of the Constitution, and as Article 1 says, to exercise their sovereignty at both the national level and at the county level. And I'm very pleased that that was changed, and Nairobi retains its full county status in 2022 after the mandate of the NMS has expired, and the next governor who comes in can decide to get into a similar arrangement with a similar entity, or by that time to use the systems that would already have been established. Madam Speaker, the amounts have been going steadily up. If you look at 2014-2015 financial year, we're able to give counties 226 billion. You know, Madam Speaker, many people have been asking that if we are not been able to do 15%, how will you do 35%? That was people asking about BBI, and that needs to be debunked. Since the advent of devolution, government has never done 15. It does way above 15%. In 2014-15, that 226 billion of the last audited revenue was 43%. And that last audited revenue in that year was 529 trillion. In the following year, 259 billion was actually coming to 33%. In 2016-17, 280 billion out of a total revenue of 935 billion was actually 30%. And even just the last few years where the amount has not changed. If you look at 2019-2020, 316.5 billion was 30%, and the last year 23%. And the reason why we're keen on making sure we're sending to counties 35, because any good president can do whatever amount they want, but we don't know which kind of president we will get next time. You never know. So let the floor be 35. So no matter who comes, each part of this country is assured of getting resources, no matter who sits at the national level, at the presidential level. And Madam Speaker, that deals with many things, including a sense of being Kenyan, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as you saw during the clamor in the last financial year for allocation of resources, if you see a lot of the, discourse that happens across the country, if you hear and see the contents of this report, Madam Speaker, we have a problem coming as a country. And the problem is that we focus so much on how to divide the cake, yet very little effort is put on how to bake a bigger cake. And that is what needs to be going on. Because if you look at the risk in the counties in terms of raising revenue, Madam Speaker, we have a commission for revenue allocation. We will soon need a commission for revenue generation. Because those are issues that no one is discussing. You'll find counties, Madam Speaker, and I remember in the beginning, and even if you look through the report, counties having their revenue going down. Many of the municipal councils we had and town councils were collecting a similar amount or a higher amount in certain parts of the country than our counties are now collecting. Yet Chapter 12 of Public Finance of our Constitution is extremely clear on the revenue raising abilities and capacity that counties have and counties should have. Madam Speaker, we need to address on-source revenue. We need to address the innovation of how to raise revenue in our counties. I'm glad many members have spoken about the issue of automation, and even that needs to be done properly. Madam Speaker, in as much as Nairobi automated, we've also seen still a drop. Because if you look at the revenue streams, those which have been automated, Madam Speaker, there is still some malfeasance and there's still some mischief in what streams you're allowed to be automated and which ones remain to be collected in cash. That is something that must be looked at. I'm very pleased, Madam Speaker, that my county, because all of us come from somewhere, and I come from Nairobi. And I'm very pleased, Madam Speaker, that in the next, or rather in this financial year, if you use the last audited revenue, and I'm glad BBI talks about, we won't be using the, years back, but the most recent. Madam Speaker, out of 370 billion, actually, 35% will be 475 billion. And out of that 475 billion, Madam Speaker, Nairobi City County will be receiving 25 billion in a financial year, as soon as we pass BBI. If you get 25 billion, Madam Speaker, and you look at, and I can tell you what your counties will be getting if you're interested. Madam Speaker.
Senator Sakaja, there is a point of order from Senator Irungu Kangata.
Okay.
Yes, Madam Speaker, I apologize to the very eminent Senator for Nairobi for interrupting him, but I'm just interested in ensuring that the rulings are equally. Madam Speaker, I rose and I spoke about BBI. I was reprimanded by the Madam Chair. My colleague is mentioning BBI. Is there fair treatment, Madam Speaker? Thank you.
I think Senator Sakaja only referred to the figures that would get
Yes.
out of the location that has been given of 35% by BBI, but he's not debating anything to do with BBI. So I think he's in order to
Madam Speaker, thank you. I'm not talking about the politics of BBI. I'm just talking about the simulations of revenue, and revenue is a part of audit. We're talking about the report from CPIC. And of course, Senator Kangata will be happy to note that his county, if we pass this, will be getting upwards of 9 billion, as opposed to what the county has been getting. Madam Speaker, on top of that, and I'll give you an example, we passed the sectional properties bill. The sectional properties law now will mandate that rates and rents, and we're also doing the revaluation of the role in Nairobi, that the rents and rates are paid on each and every dwelling, not just on the improved land value. Even apartments, you'll get a title. It is projected then that our own source revenue in Nairobi County will be anything between 50 and 75 billion in the first year of implementing that. 50 to 75 billion plus 25 billion that we are getting through BBI comes to 100 billion. And so that is why we need to make sure before that happens, Senator Ungeri and your committee, that we have proper systems for accountability, because that money can actually change the lives of the people of Nairobi. 100 billion in revenue. We're talking about our water, our mass transit system. We're talking about our hospitals, the sewerage system. We're talking about drugs. We're talking about providing opportunities for the people of Nairobi County. And Madam Speaker, I am excited that, and I'm sure we will have a very good governor in the next election in 2022, who can be able then, Madam Speaker, to use these resources. And the reason I'm saying this is the whole approach of audit for us, Madam Speaker, should not be to catch thieves. The focus is not really to catch thieves, because then you enter with a policing mentality, but to improve systems and to ensure accountability that makes sure that monies are used for the intended purposes for which they have been appropriated, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we've had many issues. If you look at these reports, if you look at the issues of the stadiums in Nairobi, the Dandora investigation is going on. If you look at the issues of Nairobi water, if you look at the issues of, a lot of the sectors in the city, and I hope that then we can continue to strengthen the systems. Madam Speaker, I even want to suggest that through the Senate Business Committee, or maybe through the Rules and Procedures Committee, and through the Parliamentary Service Commission, we need to create a Senate Audit Office. Madam Speaker, on top of what the Parliamentary Budget Office does, and they do a good job, I can see the Chairman of Budget is here, and he will tell you the kind of support that he gets from that office. A Parliamentary Audit Office will help us achieve a few things. Number one, we will not be morticians, that we're just coming to do postmortems of a body that died years ago, looking at 2014 audits, or audits of many years after which the governor has gone and things have moved on. But we'll be able to do real-time audit. Real-time audits on budget implementation. We get the quarterly exchequer releases from the control of budget. And even as that is happening, we're able to get real-time analysis, real-time input on what is going on in your county. Then that equips you as a senator. So that as a senator, your work is not just to go into history. Like right now, I should not be looking at the accounts only of former Governor Kidero. I should be able to see what is this county government currently doing, which has no governor for now, what NMS is doing today, because NMS must also be held to account in this house. A Parliamentary Audit Office would help us be, on schedule and to do real-time audits, Madam Speaker. I think that is extremely important. Madam Speaker, then we also have to ask ourselves a question. How do we address And this is something I'm trying to work on. Senator Shionga will tell you in the Committee of Labor. How do we address the wage bill in our counties? Because if you look at some counties, even up to, I think, 75% or even more is on recurrent. And of that recurrent, a huge portion of it is on staff. How do we streamline that, Madam Speaker? We've proposed a bill on county public service boards, but we want to refine it. Because when you go to a county, you find there are 3 categories of staff. You'll find the staff who are seconded from the national government when the functions were transferred. They're on their own schemes of service. Their pension is different through the superannuation scheme in the national level. Then you find staff who had been in the councils there already. Then you find staff who now the governors come and have employed. And I'm not saying there's a problem with them doing that. So you find 3 people doing the same exact work under 3 different regimes, 3 different schemes of service, different salaries. So even their motivation to actually work cannot be there. Because why would you be paid twice what I'm being paid for doing the same job? Or half of what I'm being paid for doing the same job? I think that is something, as a Senate, I think the legacy of this 12th Senate must be how we sort out that labor issue. And that is why we're proposing a national labor summit this year, after the devolution conference, because at the devolution conference, we might only speak for 1 hour or 2 hours on labor issues. But we want to be able to look at that, because unless you have the right human resource in the county, you cannot expect to have a good product at the tail end of the audit, because you don't have the correct staff to implement what is required. You don't have the right capacity to even do internal audits, the right capacity in the finance departments to make sure that money is used properly. So we're proposing, and we'll be proposing to the House, that the Senate does hold a National Labor Summit. We're looking at that, the issue of intercounty transfers, to make sure that if you're hired in Kisii, you can go work in Mombasa. If you're hired, because we've Balkanized our country. Our country is the ethnic Balkans. You might even be a Kikuyu, but you're told you're not from Kirinyaga, so you won't get a job in Kirinyaga, you go to Nyeri where you're from. You might be Wafula and you're told, no, you're from Bungoma, don't come work in Kakamega. We must change that. The purpose of devolution was not to create 47 ethnic Balkans, but to make sure that we deliver, through the principle of subsidiarity, proper services to the normal mwananchi at the lowest level. So, Madam Speaker, we will be proposing that. Finally, Madam Speaker, we must find a way to strengthen the Kenya National Audit Office, because you find in many counties, because of the lack of resources, they are being housed by those same governors that are going to audit them. You'll find that in many counties, because of, and I'm not saying that people are not tempted when they're paid more, but we must make sure that it is a truly, truly independent office. We've had things that I will not make allegations here on what happens to some of the counties that get qualified reports, or rather non-qualified reports, Madam Speaker. We don't want to cast any aspersions, but we hope that we can have a truly independent audit office that works hand in hand with the Office of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. So, Madam Speaker, I support this report. I commend the committee for having really accelerated this work. And we hope to see the next volumes, Madam Speaker, where we can look at our own counties. I want to look at Nairobi. I want to look at what has been happening. And, Madam Speaker, with those very many remarks, I choose to support. Thank you.
Senator Kibiru Charles Robinson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to start by saying that I have been a member of the Committee of CPAC for, I think, for the last many years. And as I stand to support the adoption of the report, I am doing so from an informed position. But, Madam Speaker, as I do so, I am a proud senator from Kirinyaga, because I have seen the wonderful work the MCAs from Kirinyaga have done. So, Madam Speaker, for all those who have agreed to pass BBI, heko kwenu, and we are together in all the way until we do pass the referendum bill. I also note that the people of Tharaka-Nithi, where Professor, who is sitting down, comes from, did pass the BBI. The MCAs from that county, Hogera. And thank you, Professor, for supporting BBI. Madam Speaker, as I continue, I want to say, having been in that committee for long and having been a mortician, one of the biggest challenges that we have faced is to be able to pass or to finish work that is the backlog. Madam Speaker, this morning in the House Business Committee, we did in place on the leadership to ensure that the 2014, 2015, and 2016 reports are adopted as fast as we can. We are in 2021, and we cannot be talking about 2013, 2014 reports, Madam Speaker. But having said that, one of the challenges that have come up and I have seen and we have talked about as we deal with the governors is the reluctancy, the complacency that the governors take or play when it comes to issues of audit. Madam Speaker, the audit process is very, very clear. There is the first meeting, there is a second meeting, there is a management letter, there is a draft report, but Madam Speaker, you just get repeated issues over a period. You see the governor who has been there repeating the same issues. Madam Speaker, to the extent that we are saying, and probably it is something that Senate need to think about, that the governors should, if you want to be a governor and you are a governor, you must be held responsible. To the extent that probably they should be signing the financial statements. Like in organization in private sector, organization CEOs and directors do sign to commit that indeed whatever has been prepared is the correct information as far as the auditors are concerned. So, Madam Speaker, a way forward is that governors should be pushed, should be persuaded to ensure that they take the audit process very seriously. Some of the very glaring issues that are highlighted by the auditors should be avoided, can be avoided if the governors do take their work seriously. Likewise, we have in place on ISPAC to be able to take punitive measures on the people, on their members who don't take the audit process seriously. We have seen very glaring and very basic issues that they don't take up, and we spend a lot of time sometimes looking to issues that don't merit the time of the committee. Madam Speaker, on OSL, or on source revenue, this is an area, and I think Senator Sakaja has mentioned something about it, and I hope and I believe other senators do have mentioned issues about own source revenue. Madam Speaker, CRA and some organization did carry out what is the potential of some of the counties that, most of the counties in this country. And it comes out that in terms of potential, less than all the counties are meeting the target, their potential, they are meeting their potential by less than 30%. So, Madam Speaker, as a committee of finance and budget, one of the areas that we have done is to look at the financial management, PFM Act amendment. And one of the issues that we have said in the amendment is that, one, when it comes to issues of budget, when the budgeting, let counties not have a wish list that they want and over budget, become luxurious so that they can be able to commit contracts or commit suppliers based on some unrealistic budget. And one of the recommendations we have made, Madam Speaker, is that we need a moving budget, a moving target. We are saying let's have a 3-year average based on the actual correction so that the counties don't over budget. We have seen counties, Madam Speaker, a county says that they will be able to collect 300 million this year, whereas they have never collected 150 million, Madam Speaker. So when it comes to budgeting process, we have emphasized that we must be realistic, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, still on the same, we need to find out, and I will be bringing a motion here, to find out how far are we on spatial planning. A law was passed, timelines were given for counties and including the national government to take up the issue of spatial planning. Spatial planning helps us in identifying how we are supposed to develop, and at the same time be able to show areas where counties can be able to collect own source revenue. For instance, Madam Speaker, if we are to do a spatial planning and manage and use a system to get to know all our properties in this country, some of the counties that are collecting meager resources, they would be able to collect hardly some and may be able to meet their targets, Madam Speaker. As we move forward, Madam Speaker, we also need to ask to find out how the audit office can be facilitated to carry out performance audit. We lack on issues of performance audit. Madam Speaker, the auditor gets into accounting, and the first thing that they try to do is whether a process has been followed. There is a Maram Road that was supposed to have been done. Madam Speaker, the auditor will always find out was the procurement. Did the procurement follow the procedures? More often than not, even in procurement of goods and other services, you find that they over-exaggerated in terms of market prices or in terms of getting value for money. So, Madam Speaker, we need to come up with a way. How do we improve? And this is not something that is just for the Senate, but it is something that as a nation, we need to sit down with the various stakeholders and ask ourselves, how do we improve on how we do the audit? Because if only we are looking at the processes and giving opinion based on the process, then it means we are doing an academic exercise. So, Madam Speaker, moving forward from where we sit as a Committee of Finance, would want to see, and working with CPAC, would want to see how is it we can be able to enhance on performance. Madam Speaker, you notice we passed a motion which was sponsored by yours truly in this House on issues of stored project. As we speak, Madam Speaker, the stored projects through the audit report still stands in excess of 366 billion Kenya shillings. We are losing value for money. The value of the time value of shilling, time value of our shilling, Madam Speaker, we are not exploiting the potential of our shilling. We are not using our shilling to add value in giving services to our people. So, Madam Speaker, I would be asking the organizations that are charged, and especially the National Treasury, to ensure, as it was passed by this Honorable House, that the first charge in the budget is to complete the stored project. Probably we need to say that no more projects should be started in counties that do not adhere to that requirement. So that, Madam Speaker, if it is a dispensary, if it is an office, it's if a class, if it is any other valuable business, maybe an administration block for the agricultural extension officers, must be completed so that we don't have stored projects. Stored projects become more expensive when we go back to rehabilitate them. So, Madam Speaker, that is something that we need to look at and we need to emphasize very seriously. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, the issue of integrated financial management system in terms of looking at how the counties collect their finances, it is something that is not getting headway. KRA, for instance, has been trying to get into counties and trying to help them in collecting revenue. But then, as it may be, we may be taking KRA and saying that they continue collecting revenue because they have the system. But at the same time, we also need to grow our systems. We also need to offer jobs to our ICT entrepreneurs. So, Madam Speaker, this is something as a committee we are trying to see. How do we come up with rules and regulations or legislation that can support and maybe be able to set out compliance levels of the people who would be collecting revenues? And this brings me back to the issue of IFMIS. One of the biggest challenges that the counties have continuously been telling us in the committees, both committees, CPAC and even in finance, is the issue of IFMIS. It looks like IFMIS is an animal that needs to be dissected. We need to find out how come that IFMIS nobody knows who controls IFMIS. Sometimes in terms of the way systems, the way procurements are done, how on earth would we be having pending bills if the law is very clear and IFMIS is supposed to help in that way that you cannot procure goods when there are no funds? But we find And more often than not, counties coming and telling us systems were down, we could not access system, etc., etc. Indeed, the former Auditor General did propose that probably it is a time we have two levels of IFMIS. One that deals with the national government and another one that takes care of the county government. This way, the systems would be more available and more versatile in trying to help counties execute their mandates and more so offer services to our beloved citizens. So, Madam Speaker, with those few many remarks, I do support the report and pray that most of the recommendations that have been made shall be executed and implemented, and more the institutions like the DCI, the EECC, and other institutions that have been requested to take further investigations on most of the matters shall do so expeditiously. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I do support the report.
I'm not sure that Senator Kajwang would want to proceed in view of provisions of our Standing Order 33. So I want to hear what you want to say about that before I make a ruling on what you want.
Madam Speaker, I will beg that you apply Standing Order number 1 and allow me to contribute to this matter. When it came for debate last week on Thursday, I was the last senator on the floor at 6:30 p.m. Unfortunately, I was not able to be in the House when the debate commenced. And so, Madam Speaker, I just beg your indulgence to make a contribution because Homa Bay is one of the counties whose report has been presented. And I'm also the one who chaired a number of the meetings that gave rise to this report. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I am afraid, Senator Kajwang, when I saw that you had made a request, I actually proceeded to look at the provisions of Order 33, which I take the liberty to read so that we are in the same page, which indicates that any debate interrupted under this part shall on coming again before the Senate or the committee be resumed at the point where it was interrupted, and any senator whose speech was so interrupted shall have the right to speak on such resumption for the remainder of the time available to him or her. But if such a senator does not avail himself or herself of this right, his or her speech shall be deemed to have been concluded. So your speech was deemed to have been concluded at the time we started this debate. In fact, your name was called out, and a ruling was made that Senator Kajwang is not here, so it's deemed to be concluded, and we proceeded. So, and having known that probably you really wanted to contribute, I'm afraid this cuts you out, unless we violate our own provisions. Yes.
Madam Speaker, notwithstanding Standing Order number 33, which you have clearly read out, there is also a standing order that allows a senator to speak twice to a question. But notwithstanding even that standing order, Madam Speaker, I know...
which standing order, if I may interrupt, which standing order are you referring to?
I will need to check the exact number, but which allows, in exceptional circumstances, for a member to speak twice to a question.
Because the other one I know is the one that, let me just look at my orders, that does not allow a senator to speak twice on the same issue. So let me just check and give you further guidance. I'm looking at the provisions of Standing Order 92, which talks about speaking twice to a question. No senator shall speak more than once to a question except in the committee of the whole. But despite the provision of 1, a senator who has spoken on a question may again be heard to offer explanation of some material part of the senator's speech which has been misunderstood but must not introduce a new matter. Or a senator who has moved a substantive motion has, on conclusion of the debate and before the question is put, a right of reply and may delegate that right to another senator to reply in the senator's stead. Or the mover of a motion of amendment shall not have a right of reply to a motion of amendment. So 92 again does not allow you to speak twice on the same matter unless it is on an explanation or a reply. So I am afraid that that is the ruling. So with no further request on that, I now call upon the mover to reply.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to reply on this debate. Basically, on the issue of counties that have been presented before this committee, and they've all been mentioned in the order paper, Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. There are in total about 15 counties. I may add at this stage that there are other counties that we have prosecuted, up to 45 counties. The 46 counties we were not able to prosecute because there was 1 or 2 projects that we needed to go and check, and one of them is Kajiado and another county. And therefore, Madam Speaker, when if we had time, we would have presented before this House another extra 14 counties that, together with the 20 counties that have been prosecuted during the era of Senator Kajwang as the chair, would have then completed for the financial year 2013 all through to 2017-18, which is a total of 5 years consecutively. And that puts us pretty to a very updated public accounts committee findings presented before this House. So then, having said that, Madam Speaker, I want to thank everybody who has contributed to this debate and given the highlights that we brought out quite clearly during my presentation. I want to start with the one who seconded the motion, Senator Dr. Ochila Yako, and then briefly by Senator Kajwang, who was in this meeting, and I think, and many others who have spoken, Senator Irungu, Senator Okongo Mogeni, Senator Kabiru, and Senator Sakacha. I want to thank you all for and Senator Mary, Sishisha, I think it's Sishisha, something like that. And you have brought out some very salient features that need to be captured, which have been captured in the Hansard that we can work upon and be able to develop. Finally, when this thing is said and done, Madam Speaker, we would have done, this particular report is over 2,100 pages. And I recommend that members should go back to this report and look at it and see the highlights that we have developed that they can guide them in particularly looking at their respective counties on what has been recommended in each specific audit query. The other elements of 2 counties, which is Kajiado and Trans Nzoia, there were only 2 or 3 verifications we wanted to do in the field before we could complete that report. That would have made a total page of about 3,200 pages report that would have come to this before this Senate House. And therefore, I will recommend seriously that every respective senator should look at their own county and see what kind of recommendations have been made as part of the follow-up and oversight responsibility, so that they can help this House to track some of the issues that have been raised and fundamentally dealt with and recommended in one way or the other, either the issues were resolved completely or there were outstanding issues that were there to be noted. One notable feature, which I must continue saying, that some of the audit reports need not appear before the audit committee if they were to submit their documents on time. And therefore, when this audit period is lapsed, they are not able to respond to the audit queries that have been raised during the exit meeting, and therefore they are caught up in that period, in that in-between period, and therefore appears audit query. If they were to be diligent in replying to some of this audit query, then we will not be able to indeed see some of this major audit query appearing in the report by the Auditor General on respective counties. That's one feature that I will recommend the governors, that they must be able to exercise due diligence and due governance on their CEC finance, and the people who are charged with the responsibility of preparing the accounts and being able to be checked by the Auditor General, that they should submit the information available on time. Even when we have had to meet and we have given them a 2-week or 3-week window of opportunity to present the report so we can clear the audit report, they have not been able to do so. And I think that's an area of weakness that we need to tighten up as a House, so that the governors, when they appear before the committee, that they appear when they have actually presented their full documents and the information required during the period of audit. The other thing that was quite evident, and which many members have been attributed to it, is poor record bookkeeping. Financial statements, in fact, the audit is based on the financial statements, and an audit report and opinion is derived from a financial statement. The financial statement is developed by the county governments. It's not developed by anybody else, by respective county governments. And financial statements is basically the basic bookkeeping, that's where the opinion is derived from. And I think that's one of the lapses that we have noticed that appearing frequently in most of the counties that we have examined their audit reports. Accompanied with this fraudulent, or rather the poor record keeping, is the fraudulent practices. You will see that they are trying to cover their tracks in doing certain actions that are illegal. And therefore, we have recommended punitive measures and recommended that EACC goes further into some of those elements and be able to discover the extent of that fraud so that it can be brought to book and be able to be dealt with firmly, so that you cannot receive money and not be able to account for it. And you cannot receive money without proper record keeping. You cannot receive money without an element of accountability and governance element. So we're not asking for too much. We are not intimidating anybody. We're just simply saying, let them perform their responsibilities. And we'll also perform our responsibilities of oversighting those elements that we were to examine. Then, of course, the element of non-compliance with the laws and procedures and failure to recruit qualified personnel to run some of these elements that we have greeted here. And if you have time, and if those who may not have read this report, we have done an executive summary, which has 25 cogent points that you can look at and be able to make cross-referencing with your own county. I may just, in passing, and some of them have been made reference to. One is lack of remittance of statutory deductions, which again distorts their accounting procedures, and the penalties that occur during that non-remittance of the statutory deductions is an extra expense to the county government, which need not be, because there are penalties which are applied, which cannot be lifted, and therefore the county governments must pay due diligence to these statutory deductions so they are remitted on time without attracting the penalties that usually come and eventually end up with a loss. Sometimes some have gone for court adjudication, and this has become very expensive because then the county governments have had to hire lawyers to be able to meet these obligations. That's an additional extra cost that need not have been captured and which was not budgeted for, but appearing and therefore distorting the books of accounts of that respective county. And therefore they should pay due diligence. We have heard, and I think comments have been made about the pending bills. One, that once any county has pending bills which have not been attended to, even any prospective investor will look at the pending bills, and the first sight of the level of pending bills that are in that county, they will shy away from any further investments because they are not able to pay and get the returns that they expect to get. And some of the contractors have actually perished. They have been liquidated. They have been wound up because of this non-payment by the county governments. And some of them are very small operators, and they have suffered a great loss because of non-payment of the pending bills. We have said, and we continue saying in this report, that the first charge on any releases from the exchequer must be on the pending bills. Therefore, we're asking both the National Treasury and the Controller of Budget to be able to apply those sanctions, that whatever money is released from the exchequer in the way of shareable revenue, the first charge of that money must be on pending bills, so that we clear this monster. And we've had audits and special audits on pending bills, and it's been a very difficult exercise. And the only way to get rid of it is now to apply the final sanction that nobody should be allowed, no county should be allowed to spend without eventually clearing the pending bills. Then they'll be able to be allowed to spend on some of those items. Now, an element, again, which relates to non-availability of resources is the uncollected land rate, rent, and properties. In fact, when you take this element and the assets and liabilities of the county governments, this forms a very huge portfolio. And if they were to do the land valuation, the roll valuation, and be able to put it in place, and be able to look at the rentable houses which are available, which can attract a lot of revenue to the county, and the on-source revenue and things Senator Kibiru talked about it at length, we should be able to get so much money to county government. There are some counties, like Nairobi, that have the capacity to collect a lot of money, in fact, equivalent to the shareable revenue. And that should be able to make a big difference in any given county. Even the far-flung remote counties, I think one of the things that we need to look at, how are they spending how are they evaluating their properties, land? Have they been properly registered? So much pieces of land have been lost to the fraudulent speculators who come and the middlemen who come and try and tell you that I've a title deed for this, and eventually they sell somebody's plot or they sell somebody's allocation without the knowledge of the actual recipient. And I think those are the fraudulent types that we were talking about. Incomplete and non-utilized projects. The projects are started, they are not completed on time, or they are not, in fact, realized on time, and therefore value for money is not realized. And I think this is the major element that they have been budgeted for, or some of them have been short-circuited to come into the budget without having proper supplementary budget, and therefore there is a loss of money. And that's why we found a leakage, heavy leakage of resources through this level. I need to also say about the weak internal controls, particularly policies to guide the operations of the county activities. And we have made a very stringent recommendations that government should develop a staff establishment policy which is lacking in some of these areas. Then, of course, irregular public participation on payments when the they have a monotype of public participation. You will see the same people moving from one point A to point B to point C up to Z. And the reason for moving so is because they want to get money, and it's a one way of not incorporating the actual people who need to give an opinion, particularly on a service that's being offered to them. And I think we need to tighten up that one. Failure to submit documents for audit to the Auditor General, I've already mentioned about that, and the irregular funding of national government functions by county governments. Of course, some of the, particularly in arid and semi-arid areas, have said that they are forced to spend money on national government projects because that's the only way they can be able to bring their populations into focus. But I say this, that if the money has been budgeted at the national level, I think they should chase that envelope from the national level to accomplish whatever task was supposed to be accomplished through that budgetary provisions. And if they have to budget any additional resources, they should budget in accordance with Schedule 4 of the Constitution, which has already allocated the type of functions that the county governments must perform. And therefore, Madam Speaker, I can go on and on. And one other element I need to say is that some of them opened many accounts, in commercial accounts, and we know that the PFM Act stipulates that every single source of money must be swept into CRF account, County Revenue Fund account, and anything outside that fund will be illegal, unless they have set up special funds, which must be by legislation, by the respective account assemblies, and they will be audited as separate funds for the purposes of auditing. And any expenditure outside that framework will be legal, and really is another area that we need to look at very, very, very keenly. Otherwise, I want to thank everybody for these recommendations, for accepting this report. It's a very lengthy report. I want to thank my members of the committee who worked tirelessly 6 days a week, and we were able to complete these reports. And given time, we have more reports to table. Today, I think you must have seen there was a tabling of 2013, 2014, 15 reports, and therefore, I really want to thank everybody who contributed, and particularly, not only the members of the committee, but the staff who were seconded to this committee. They did a sterling job, to plow through these volumes, to plow through these thousands and thousands of pages can only mean one thing: dedication. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I request that pursuant to Standing Order 61.3, you defer the putting of the question to another day. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Of course, I determined that this is a matter that affects counties and cannot therefore be voted on at this moment. It has to be a vote by delegation. I therefore order that this matter be placed in tomorrow's order paper for purposes of that putting the question. Next order.
Order number 11, motion. Adoption of the report of the Mediation Committee on the Early Childhood Education Bill, Senate Bills number 26 of 2018.
Madam Speaker, I move that the House adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the consideration of the Early Childhood Education Bill, Senate Bill number 26 of 2018, laid on the table of the House, the table of the Senate on Thursday, 18th February 2021, and pursuant to Article 113 of the Constitution and Standing Order 161.3 of the Senate Standing Orders, the House approves the mediation version of the bill. Madam Speaker, This report contains deliberations and the recommendations of the Mediation Committee on the early...
Senator Omogeni?
Yes.
I think you need to just confirm that the motion you're moving is in an amended form.
I confirm it is, Madam Speaker.
Okay, so we can proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this report contains the deliberations and recommendations of the Mediation Committee on the Early Childhood Education Bill of 2018. Madam Speaker, as a brief background, the Early Childhood Education Bill 2018 was published on the 4th of September 2018, and it was passed by the Senate with amendments on the 22nd of May 2019. Madam Speaker, it was thereafter referred to the National Assembly for consideration. The National Assembly passed the bill with amendments on the 5th of December 2019. Madam Speaker, the Senate thereafter considered the National Assembly's amendments on the 30th June 2020 and negativated some of the amendments as proposed by the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, in view of the above and pursuant to Articles 112 and 113 of the Constitution, the Early Childhood Education Bill 2018 was referred to the Mediation Committee with the sole objective of attempting to develop a version of the bill that will be presented to both houses for approval, Madam Speaker. I'm happy to report, Madam Speaker, that the Mediation Committee did all the mediation meeting with the main purpose of trying to develop a bill that would be accepted by both houses. Madam Speaker, the Mediation Committee on the Early Childhood Education Bill 2018 was constituted by the Speaker of National Assembly pursuant to Article 113 of the Constitution and Standing Order number 149 of the National Assembly, and also by the Speaker of the Senate pursuant to Standing Order 160 of the Senate's Standing Orders, which was on the 1st of October 2010. Madam Speaker, for record, the membership of the Mediation Committee constituted of the following senators. Myself, Kongo Omogeni, Senator Mwangi Githiomi, Senator Dr. Agnes Zani, Senator Mary Yane, and Senator Falhada Diko, MP. Madam Speaker, on the side of the National Assembly, the membership constituted the following honorable members. Honorable Wambugu Ngujiri, MP. Honorable Dr. Daniel Kamuren Tuitoek, MP. Honorable John Paul Mwirigi, MP. Honorable Eve Akinyi Obara, MP. Honorable Dr. Pamela Ochieng, MP. Madam Speaker, at the first meeting, which was held on the 10th of November 2020, I was privileged to be elected as the chairperson of the Mediation Committee, while Honorable Wambugu Ngujiri, MP, was elected as the vice chairperson. Madam Speaker, the committee thereafter commenced consideration of the proposed amendment. Madam Speaker, due to the COVID-19 situation, we adopted virtual and physical meetings, Madam Speaker, and the committee concluded its considerations on the amendments and adopted the agreed version of the mediated version of the bill on the 8th of December 2020. Madam Speaker, I must commend the members of the Senate and members of the National Assembly for the way they conducted themselves during the mediation meetings. Madam Speaker, the spirit was of give and take. There are proposals of the National Assembly that were not acceptable to the Senate, that the members of the National Assembly agreed with the position of the Senate that they be done away with, and there are proposals of the National Assembly that members of the Mediation Committee were able to carry on board. I'm happy to report, Madam Speaker, that this is one of those success stories, Madam Speaker, where a mediation committee appointed by speakers of the two houses has been able to agree within a very short period and brought a report to both houses that carries a win and win kind of position. Madam Speaker, during considerations of the National Assembly amendments by the Senate on 30th of June, the Senate had initially agreed with some of the proposals made by the National Assembly, and therefore the Mediation Committee was obligated to concentrate on consideration on the proposed amendments which the Senate did not concur with the members of National Assembly. Madam Speaker, I will briefly go through some of the clauses that the Mediation Committee did consider. Madam Speaker, the first clause was clause number 27. Madam Speaker, clause 27 of the bill, there was a proposal that it be amended by deleting subclause 2 and substituting, therefore, the following new subclause. And I read subclause 2. A public education center shall not be converted to a private education center or to any other private status without consultation with the County Education Board and approval by the County Executive Committee member. Madam Speaker, having deliberated, the Mediation Committee agreed on the following new version. The Senate bill, Madam Speaker, initially the spirit of the bill was to ensure that an ECD that is funded by taxpayers' money should never, at any given time, be converted into a private education center. Madam Speaker, however, after deliberation, the Mediation Committee resolved to adopt the National Assembly amendments, which seeks to allow conversion of an early childhood education center from public status to private status, but only after consultation with the County Education Board and the approval of the County Executive Committee member. Madam Speaker, this amendment was accepted because it was the view of the members of the Mediation Committee that it will align the bill with the existing provisions of the Basic Education Act, especially, Madam Speaker, Section 43, subsection 2 of the Basic Education Act number 14 of 2013, which in summary, Madam Speaker, provides that a public basic education institution shall not be converted to a private basic education institution or to any other private status without consultation with the National Education Board and the approval of the Cabinet Secretary, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, as champions of devolution, we have ensured that any conversion of these institutions from public status to private will not be done capriciously, but it will be after a serious consultation and also with the approval of the County Executive Committee member. Madam Speaker, the other clause that...
Order, Senator Mogeni. You will have a balance of 52 minutes when the matter comes next in the order paper. Honorable Senators, it is now 6:30 p.m., time to interrupt the business of the Senate. The House therefore stands adjourned until tomorrow, Wednesday, 24th February 2021 at 2:30 p.m.